evening, everyone. Sorry for this slight delay. What time is it? 47 seconds. William's just going to bed and he was having a fit because I wasn't there too. Well, I wasn't there, even though I'm in the room. Anyway, so welcome to the first of, hi Anthony, my Wednesday night lives. Now, I've been sort of coming and going with them. Hey Luke. Coming and going with them on my business page, just playing around with stuff, and there's been so much going on behind the scenes, sort of writing my course and all the other stuff. Hey Emma, hey Craig. When I do it on my personal page, I always get a bit freaked out because there's people who don't normally listen in. Anyway, so I'm going to be doing these every week, and I have got content galore because I've had loads of inspiration and I've been reading lots. So I've just decided I'm just going to do it every single week on a Wednesday, and there will be a headline and a topic, and then what's going to happen is if anything hits a sore point or resonates or you need some extra support, then I'm going to be doing a live Q&A in my private Facebook group, which I'll always put the link on. Hey Debs, hi Emma, hey Craig, hey Debs, hey Sarah. Oh my god, Sarah. Oh, I've just forgotten something that I've got to do for Sarah. Anyway, I'll be in, I'll come in and then we'll sort it out. Anyway, so that's put me off now. So tonight we're going to be talking about how to let go of control and worry less, because there are shitloads of people. She's laughing. I love you, I love you. Hey Andrew, hey Claire. There's loads of people I know who worry loads and get stressed and feel the need to control, and we're all like it, you know, as parents we do it, don't we? We're trying to control our kids, but it's something that I've been reading about and doing a bit of research on, and I came across an article by an amazing woman called Gabriella Lerner. Now I've got notes because I am quoting some of her stuff, so there's ideas from me in there and my opinion on stuff, and but obviously I will always reference where I've got the information from if it's not from me. So this is an article I read. Hey Daniel, hey Claire, hey Leanne, how are you? Oh, lovely. Yeah, so this will be every Wednesday. And then if you want to come on the, and you don't have to do that publicly, by the way. If you have got quite a question that you'd like me to cover, or you need my perspective on, or maybe give you a different perspective, that's actually what I'll do, then hop over into my, hey Lorraine, that's my mother-in-law, hi. Then hop into my private group, and then we'll do the 1 hour Q&A in there on a monthly basis. So it just gives you the opportunity to, rather than just listen and go, oh yeah, that's quite relevant to me, actually get some one-to-one support on that over in the group. So I'm excited about that. I'm excited about this. It feels good to have a plan and know that you're going to stick to it, because I'm in a really good place with it all and just loving every minute of it. And so course is nearly finished. Oh, it's been so busy. Anyway, but it's amazing. So I'm going to get on with it, what we're talking about tonight. So, in order to talk about this thing, you know, having control, feeling like we need control over everything, and having control over other people is an issue of freedom. And what is freedom? So freedom is our right to choose to be who we are, act how we want to act, and be who we are without fear of judgment. And that's what it is. But real freedom is also respecting that other people have that exact same choice. So I noticed something that I do. So when I read the article, and hey Paddy, hi Anna, I'll always fess up to my own flaws, because there are many. But I'm one of those people who, if I have experience in, well, I mean, I do it for a living, you know. If I've got experience in something, or I feel I can help, sometimes your help can become or interpreted as overbearing or even a little bit controlling. Now, I don't think I've ever gone down that route. Maybe, don't know. Or maybe actually with a really good male friend of mine with a crazy ex-girlfriend once, and that didn't go down well. So when we're that kind of person, that in order to feel safe, in order to feel I think it's a self-worth thing. In order to feel, is that we have this tendency to try and help, and we'll do it with our kids, and our mums will do it with us. Not you, Lorraine. And they'll try, and because they know best, mum knows best, doesn't it? And sometimes that your help can feel overbearing or controlling somebody else. Now, when it's being done to us, it's really easy to spot. But when we're doing it to other people, it's not so easy to spot, because in our hearts and in our intention is to be of service to that person, is to help. So where by the end of this video or this live, I want you to go forth into your life and just be really mindful of when you aren't respecting somebody else's freedom of choice. So somebody might make a choice and you might not like it and you might not agree with it, but if we have the tendency to jump into an opinion or jump into some guidance, or, do you know, I think you should do it this way, or I think you should do it that way, or have you thought about this? And there's nothing wrong with advice if it's requested, but we can all be in this danger of, and I'm putting my hand up because I do this, you know, go into like coach mode with friends, which is really annoying, and sometimes it's welcome and sometimes it's not. Anyway, you know, so it's being aware of how you are with other people, and just being a bit mindful of it and noticing it, and especially with your partners and relationships. So this is really, really relevant for very close relationships. It's sort of that I love you, but do as I say. You know, and have an understanding that we all have the right and the freedom to do what we choose and to expect that to be respected, but then we've also got to do the same for another person. And I'll get on to more about that in a minute, but the next thing I want to talk about, if you're a natural worrier, so if you're one of the people that worries about everything, and I know loads of them. Hey Yolanda, hey Amanda, oh hi Amanda, I miss you. Hey Melinda, hey Melanie, hey everyone. Thank you for coming on, I really appreciate it. So if you're a natural worrier, so if you're one of those people who goes, oh, don't drive too fast, or if you're going on holiday, you go, oh, you know, don't forget to turn the gas off, or don't forget to lock the doors, or don't forget to close the windows, and all that, is what that does is, by taking responsibility for everything in your head, you might think you're helping, but actually what you are doing is you're disempowering the other person and you're overburdening yourself. So, and we're all guilty of this. Like, so how many of you, and be brave and give me a heart if that's you, or like, are one of these people, and if you're a mum, I know you're this because this is what I do, is that you sort of take that responsibility for everything. I'll do that, no, it's fine, I'll do that. And what we end up doing is we end up really stressed, we end up really resentful and pissed off at everybody else in our life because they just don't appreciate us and they just don't do, you know, they don't do as much as we do. But that's because a lot of the time, if we're honest, hey Gemma, hey Claire, thank you for coming on, we don't allow other people to do it because we think we know better and we think we do it better. And this is really relevant with young children. You know, if you're the person at home that looks after the child most of the time, and then the partner comes home and they go and do something and they don't do it your way, and suddenly they're not doing it right, and then you go, oh, it's fine, I'll just do it. And we get this martyrdom about it, and we go, oh, no, it's fine, I'll do it. And then we moan about the fact that we had to do it. So, and I'm going to talk about some concepts that, and I'm literally going to hear your eyes roll, and I'm going to go, oh yes, you know, in an ideal world. But if we just take some steps towards this one idea of respecting someone else's freedom in the sense of how they choose to do something, that was your eyes rolling. You know, respecting how somebody does something and allowing them to do it their way. Imagine how much more harmonious our relationships would be with everybody if that was the case. So what I'm going to quote the article now because this is brilliant. So how many times a day do you find fault in another person, what they are doing and how they are doing it? How can you possibly know what motivates a person to do what they do? By judging them, we presume we know better. We let go, and by letting go of judgment, we acknowledge their freedom and simultaneously we free ourselves. So imagine I wouldn't say it like that, obs. But it's exactly the point I'm trying to make, is that by allowing somebody else to just do what they want to do the way that they want to do it without you judging it in any way, shape or form, is doing yourself a favour. Because actually what you, and I'm going to give a little personal example here, because Mark's upstairs putting to, hey Nikki, hey Hayley. Mark's putting Millie to bed, so he'll probably rewatch it anyway, but because he tends to do that. But Mark, for those of you who know him, is an amazing husband in the sense that we are very much a team. He cleans, I cook, I do the kids, he does the garden, you know, we've got our roles. Now, in the beginning, that wasn't necessarily, it didn't work as well, because Mark's quite particular and I'm not. So he would have a certain way of doing things, and I would get really offended. So I'd do something and he'd come and do it over again, which is really annoying, isn't it? But I'd get really, really offended, and I'd get quite upset and I'd get quite angry, because I would take it that he was undermining what I would do, and it was because, and I would make it mean, this is really important because we are meaning making machines. I would make it mean that he didn't think I was good enough at what I was doing, that I was a complete slob, that I didn't know, and we make this story up. And then my anger got, and I'd be like, and then we'd end up falling out. And the perfect example is the dishwasher. So the dishwasher used to cause, not necessarily just the dishwasher, but this is a perfect example of what I mean. So I would stack the dishwasher, and then he would restack it. And that used to really piss me off, because I'd be like, oh my God, like you're always undermining me, you know, you're so bloody particular, and I'd get really irritated by it. And as I've developed and grown, I realised that, hi Alan, hey Nikki, I realised that it's just his way. It's just what he needs to do, because that's who he is. So now, I don't even bother, well, I do the dishwasher, obviously, and he doesn't do it all the time, but if he does do something like that, I just laugh, because I'm giving him the freedom to be who he is, which is very, very different to me, but we still work very well. But what's the point? Yeah, I'm thinking, like Brené Brown's Rumble, the story. I'm telling you. Yeah, exactly. So if you don't know who Brené Brown is and you're interested in this kind of thing, then I highly recommend you read some of her books. She's awesome. Yeah, so I'd get really upset. So now I've just got to the point in our relationship where I realised it was just more harmonious for me to just go, okay, if you want to do that, that's fine. That'll float your boat. So this is why this article is really interesting to me, because I recognise so much of our relationship and the relationship I've got with other people in it, and the mistakes, sort of, not mistakes, but the awareness that I sort of got since then. So, and actually how much better I am at it. So I wanted to share it with you, because I want you to look at it yourself and think, when your partner does something, Amanda, dishwashers are one of the biggest causes of arguments in a relationship. I know, it's ridiculous. Like, how ridiculous is that? Like, I think, okay, here's the rule. If you've got a partner that really loves doing the dishwasher, then just leave all the pots on the side and let them do it when they get in. Just let them do it. And just put your feet up and have a cup of tea. No one's going to die. Like, I just find it really, really funny. Anyway, so, but this gets to the more important point and serious point, that it's about our personal freedom, our personal choices. How I do something is how I choose to do it, and how he does something is how he chooses to do it. And if we don't judge each other for how we do that, harmony ensues. Yeah? Are you with me? Also, getting onto a bit more of a damaging streak that, you know, a damaging thing, you know, I hear women talk about, and men talk about that they don't like what their partner does, not might be going out, or, you know, something that they do socially that they don't like or they don't agree with because it's not what they like to do. And we'll find ourselves sometimes in that situation being funny with them, or mardy, and I've done it myself, you know, hands up. And I'm not a possessive person or a jealous person in any way, shape or form. But there's been times where, you know, in relationships, think they've done something, it's just been like, why would you choose to do that instead of doing this, you know? So we've all been there. I think no one's immune to this. But what happens is, unless we nip it in the bud and we recognise that it's actually something in ourselves that makes us feel that way, then it can be quite destructive, because you know, when you're behaving in a way that is possessive, that's not how you want to be. Like, no one chooses to be that way. So if you do behave in a, you know, in a possessive way towards partner because you're judging what they're doing and making it mean something that that it doesn't, then that needs nipping in the bud, and that's something that's coming from within. Okay, so just to finish on, I'm going to give you sort of 3 tips, because these videos aren't going to be long, so I don't want to be babbling on all night. I'm going to give you sort of 3 tips for how you can worry less and be more, and just sort of it gives you some food for thought of how to sort of get your head around all this. So, number 1 is be present. Like, there's a whole big mindfulness movement and everybody knows what it is, but being present in the moment will stop you worrying as much and judging. Because if you're in the moment, just dealing with what is in front of your eyes, you aren't as dragged into the past or worrying about the future. Because what happens, people that tend to worry a lot have usually are dragging some shit with them. They have had a past experience, and some of them might be really serious past experiences which have left their scar, and if not dealt with, hey Richard, hey Sheena, hey Matthew, hey Fran, and if not dealt with, you bring that shit with you. So something happens, your new partner does something, and it reminds you unconsciously sometimes, and this is like, and obviously, because in my NLP work, I do a lot of stuff with the unconscious mind, and your unconscious mind's got a good memory. It will remember stuff that you don't even remember. So a partner might do something and it triggers anger in you. And this can be related to something that's absolutely nothing to do with them. And it generally isn't. And I mean, I've done this. There's something that Mark does that reminds me of something that happened in the past that irritates me. I've only just become aware of that's why I get irritated by it and why it triggers me. And it's nothing to do with him. It's not even his fault. So being present in the moment and just like enjoying that moment that you're in and being present in it stops you dragging that shit from the past. And it also stops you worrying about the future. So it's just like going, okay, this is it. What he's doing now is just what he's doing now. I'm here and this is what's happening. Or she, or kids, or whatever. This can be with anybody. So it's important to, hey Claire, hey Anne, how are you? So it's important to, that's just a little tip that if you just say, right, okay, or especially if you know a certain situation is going to trigger you, or you know that thing's coming around that you always end up rowing about, is just try next time it's coming around to just be a little bit more mindful about, okay, I'm not going to do that this time. I'm aware now that I'm doing it. And also it's good to journal. I mean, if you don't do that, then that's fine. But just to make a note, or with a cup of tea, just think, right, what irritates me? What are the things? Hey, Alicia. Oh, how are you, honey? I just did an interview with Alicia for her podcast, which I was super excited about, and she's amazing. She's got like 6.2 million followers on Pinterest. Check her out, especially if you've got anything to do with events, because she's awesome. Hi, Emily. So I've lost my train of thought now because I was excited that Alicia was on. Yeah, so just writing down, like, starting to notice your patterns, like notice what's annoying you, notice where you're arguing, especially if you and your partner are having the same row all the time. Notice what that happens. Notice when you worry with the kids. What is it that happens with the kids that makes you worry? And we all do that. Obviously, we all worry, but there's worrying as a mother, and then there's unnecessary worrying where it impacts the child. You know, we can do it where we don't allow them to do something because we're so frightened that X, Y, or Z is going to happen. And if that's the case, where it's starting to actually affect the people around you in a negative way, then it really does need addressing. So an awareness is the first thing to do with that. So just become aware of where you're at with all this kind of stuff. Like, am I a worrier? Do I ever worry? What do I worry about? Like, what's the thing that triggers it? Second thing is, well, I've sort of already talked about this. If the action of the other person triggers you, what is it about what they're doing that triggers anger, upset, fear, resentment? And just link back, like, think of it like joining the dots. Okay, how does it feel when they do that? How does it feel? Why do I want to control it? Why do I want to manipulate that? Am I trying to change why am I trying to change who they are and what they're doing? And think about what it links back to. And it could link back to an old relationship. Hey, Zozo! It could link back to childhood, parents, loads of stuff. So I'm sharing all this with you because I want you to become really mindful, because I want you to try and be aware enough that you can create a more harmonious relationships around you, because it's so important. Because if we've chosen to marry somebody, we're going to be with them hopefully for the rest of our lives, and that's, it's important to work on that and work on ourselves enough so that that happens. I've gone off piece a little bit. Yeah, so what about the action triggers you? What about it? And this works for worry and control. So what is it about what they're doing that irritates you? Where does it link to? And just ask yourself the question and just write down what comes in your head, or just become aware of what comes in your head and go, oh, that's interesting. Maybe that's why. And then what you'll do is you'll get a different perspective. You'll realize that actually the behavior that you are eliciting, your behavior in that situation, how does that make it worse? And if you had a different perspective, would it change what happened? Would the row always happen if you had a different stance? Because the thing is, I know we don't like to admit it, but when we're in a row, we're in it as well. And we're not always the one behaving beautifully. I know I'm certainly not. If I get pushed to a row, it is not pretty. But no one's perfect. So we've got, if we're going to create that kind of much more harmonious freedom within our relationship, so I can let you be who you're going to be. I can be freely who I'm going to be without worrying about judgment from you or anyone else, because then you can expect that back. And that is a liberating thing. Hey, Brogan. Hey, Dolly. Dolly, love that. And then number 3, there is the saying that I keep moving on without looking at my notes, which is clever of me. So the saying, treat others how you would like to be treated. So we all know that saying, but I want you to think about it in relevance to this. So the next time you find yourself judging somebody, anyone, just remind yourself that you have a shared freedom, and that actually you have to value their decisions and respect them. And then then they respect yours and value yours. And it takes work and it takes some time. But if you start to notice, be the change, I'll stop saying it, be the change you want to see. But if you start to exhibit that kind of behavior and treatment of others, I guarantee that you'll get it back. And that is lush. Because and then the last thing, there was a quote on it which I loved. When we value our individual freedom more than we value what people think about us or how we think we should be in the world, then we can act from that place of freedom, which I absolutely love. Sometimes, doing this scares me sometimes. I think, God, what are people going to think? Who does she think she is? I used to get all that. I don't get it anymore, because I know that all the books I've read and all the things I've done and all the courses I've been on and all the stuff that I've learned is of value to some people, and it's not valuable to all people. But the ones who find it valuable will tune in and will be supportive, and the ones that don't will tune out, and that's cool. And I've reached a point in my life where that's okay. And that isn't always the case with everybody, and it wasn't the case for me for such a long time. So when you think about your personal freedom, and I'll finish on this, when you think about your personal freedom, how do you want to be, act, and what are you not doing because of fear of judgment and fear of what people think and fear of not fitting in? And if you could just be completely 100% yourself, who are you being judged by? Because sometimes that's somebody we love, and that's difficult. So, but if we start to go, right, okay, this is who I am, this is who I want to be, and I'm going to respect and honor that in myself, but I'm also going to actively do that for other people. And if you haven't been doing that, then when you start to do that, people will notice, and suddenly you'll start to notice that things get a little bit easier, and that you start to enjoy things, and you get this freedom about you, because I can just be me, and that's okay. So that's it. I hope that was helpful. So if that has any relevance to you and you've got any specific questions, then click the link to join my group, and I'll be doing my live Q&A at the end of the month. Thank you for the hearts. I appreciate that very much. And also tag a warrior, or tag somebody that feels like they need to control themselves and everything else around them. That would be like outing them, wouldn't it? So maybe just suggest it to them or send it to them on Messenger. But I would, yeah, just share the love. Okay, thank you for listening. Thanks for everybody for tuning in. I shall see you next Wednesday. Bye.